Market conditions majority bullish. S&P futures up about 0.36% as of right now. We saw majority bullish at 14 and 0. We're pushing towards the upper end of that range. You can see that fib snap tool is now snapped to this high versus this high, and so we are starting to shift structures, looking for a breakout location. If we can break out of that and continue to hold that range, then that is going to be bullish for the market. We do have a really expanded trend, or relatively expanded to where we've been, and that could create a little bit of resistance here at these areas, but bulls are certainly in control right now, looking for new highs. S&P 500 closed out yesterday at 14 and 0 on the daily as well as the weekly time frame. We did see a little bit of a softening here on the breadth. The number of stocks in the 50-day in the S&P above the 50-day moving average, trading lower yesterday, back down to 65. So that's one of the things we want to keep an eye on, is if we're getting additional participation, if we're getting a majority participation. We're barely getting that right now at 65, but as it presses in that upper range, 70-80%, we should be seeing stronger participation in this rally. We're only seeing really a handful of names still continuing to the upside. That could be a concern for the for the viability of continuation of the overall run. But we'll see. What this is where we're at as of right now. 11 and 3 on the trend condition indicator here as well. VIX pulling back nicely, back to 16. We'll see if it breaks through some of these support and gets back under that 16 range. That'd be bullish for stocks as well. We're also seeing a nice run here in bonds to the upside, short end of the yield curve. SHY moving higher nicely. Compression on the weekly time frame here at 14. Compression on the daily as well at 14. Bullish compression for bonds. That's bearish compression for rates, which is what we want to see. So we're seeing that 2-year starting to expand, starting to get an expansion of trend. We've been consolidating, we've been compressing right here. We'll see if we get that. Obviously, there's a lot of work to do, but rates moving in the downside ultimately is going to be bullish for equities right here as well. So 376 for the 2-year. TLT also getting a little bit more bullish right here, 7 and 7 on the daily, starting to push higher. You can see 87.54 this morning, and that has been getting some decent support here on this weekly time frame. Also on the 10-year, corresponding to the rate itself, you can see that compression and starting down here at 14. We're starting to move lower, breaking through a few levels. We've been watching this 50% range, and we've now broken through that, so we're heading to the downside. 427 on the 10-year. Ultimately should be bullish for stocks. It's part of what we've been watching, what the market has been watching, is what are interest rates doing, what is inflation doing, and then we had the tariff scenario, and then we've got the war scenario. There's always going to be a scenario. That's just the way the world works, and as markets are evolving with that, and interest rates are a part of that factor, we want to be paying attention to where they're at, or at least the trend direction of where they're going. The 4-year or the 10-year treasury has a big impact on a lot of the liquidity in the marketplace, mortgage rates, and just the cost of borrowing. As that comes down, that is a good thing to create additional liquidity and additional motion in the monetary system for really for businesses and the world economy at large. Dow Jones Industrial Average pushing, or it's got a range to be able to push up to that 440 range. Majority bullish at 14. Triple Qs, we'll see if we did break out. We do have an all-time high now on triple Qs, 543. So I could actually switch this over. Once we close out of a supply or demand block, we can switch that direction over. So we can switch that over to bullish here now as well. And as long as it holds that range, now this is demand. The bulls have pressed this and pushed this through this level strong enough that this now should become a support location underneath that price activity. So that's happened now on triple Qs. We'll see if we get that today on the rest of the markets. IWM, the Russell 2000. Not a whole lot happening here. Still, this has been, we're pushing up towards that 618, but we've had a pretty nice run. Majority bullish at 14. Would like to see that participate a little bit more, as we've talked about this range, this upper end of this range. It could be a target for IWM. USO oil getting a pretty big retracement here recently, also with all of the geopolitical volatility that's been happening, pulling back down to that 73 range. Gold also in some volatility, but still inside of that momentum zone, solidly on the weekly time frame, could pull all the way back to 280. On the daily time frame, could pull all the way back to 300, and still be in an overall uptrend. A little bit of softening towards the upper end of that trend, just natural volatility inside that momentum zone. Silver, we are seeing a little confirmation here as well. Pullback, retest, 236 location, some confirmation to that upside, and could see some continued momentum here in silver. That's actually one of the there's an ETF that did pull in to one of the scans today, PSLV. Again, either way, as far as an ETF to trade, SLV probably would be a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more well-known, a little bit more liquid. iShares as well. That's either one to be able to focus on a silver trade. Another stock to be able to consider here, TIGR. Big gap, nice volume, moving back in momentum, and seeing not a whole lot of stocks in there today, but there's a few in that list. This is the new buy all. This has got not quite as much stringent criteria as the new buys. There's only 2 in there. SMCI is actually 1 in there. We're going to take a trade on that one. Also today, this pattern here, you are getting confirmation to that upside. 236 location. We've got a limit price set here at 48 for that trade. If you'd like to learn more about the system and some of these settings and the screen criteria and just the full process, you can learn more in the description. And we've got some educational courses, a Discord channel for you to be able to utilize, lots of resources to be able to access and utilize this methodology. And that'll do it for today's update. Everyone have a fantastic day today.